If you're thinking about retiring overseas, slow traveling the world, or even taking an extended trip for a few months, these are a handful of apps that I genuinely believe can save you thousands of dollars, hours of frustration, and maybe even a few panic attacks. These aren't sponsor recommendations. These are just apps I found to be useful during my travel. So hopefully these apps will make your travel easier. These are the apps that my husband and I actually used during our travel in Southeast Asia. And some of these solved problems I didn't even know existed until we left the USA. And others saved us hundreds of dollars. And one of these apps is something I honestly wish every American knew before traveling overseas. If you're planning a retirement travel in the next few years, I would recommend watching this entire video. I'll save my favorite app for the very end, and I'll also show you how to save some money on that app. Hi everyone, welcome back to Budget Travel Therapy. If you're new here, my name is Katie. My husband and I slow travel Southeast Asia and other places where we use geo arbitrage to save money and live a better quality of life. We're not retired yet. In fact, we are currently back in the United States, preparing to eventually travel full-time again. Along the way, we've made plenty of mistakes, but we've always discovered tools that made traveling overseas dramatically easier. My goal on this channel is simple. I want to help Americans who are approaching retirement or dreaming about retiring overseas someday travel smarter, spend less, and enjoy the journey a whole lot more. Everything I recommend today is something I personally use. Nothing here is theoretical, and these are the exact apps that are still on my phone today. And number one app is Airalo. Airalo lets you buy an eSIM directly from your phone before or during a trip. Within just a few minutes, you can have a mobile data almost anywhere in the world. When we landed in Vietnam, my phone actually was already connected. I could immediately order a Grab to take us to the hotel. I could navigate using Google Maps. I could message family. I didn't have to hunt around the airport looking for eSIM card kiosks after a long flight. And that alone made arrival so much less stressful. And best part of this is usually it's much cheaper than paying international roaming fees through a US carrier. With Airalo, you can literally land with internet already working. And one quick tip is before you leave the United States, install Airalo while you're still at home. And do not wait until you're standing in another country trying to figure it out at the airport. You're already tired, most likely after a long flight, and it's just going to be one more hassle and adding stress to your travel day. If you'd like to try any of these apps, I will drop the link in my video descriptions. Feel free to go check out any of these that I recommend. Now, once you solve your internet connection, there's another problem that almost nobody talks about until it happens. And trust me, this one can be a nightmare if you're not prepared. Number two app is Tello, and it completely changed the way I travel internationally. Before I found Tello, I was using another app called Magic, and that was recommended by another traveler. But unfortunately, after leaving the US, I could not get the two-step authentication from my bank to get the verification to be able to log into my bank account in the US. And that is a nightmare when you're traveling overseas. And so after searching around and looking at other recommendations, I switched to Tello, and that really saved my life on the road while I'm traveling international, because the last thing you want is being locked out of your US financial accounts, like your bank account and important documents and things like that. So Tello, I have not had any issues. You can even port your US phone number. In fact, there's some people I heard who literally switched their US phone service while they're still living in the US before they start traveling on the road, because Tello has a US service that works and is even cheaper than Mint Mobile. We've used Mint Mobile for the last several years in the US, and it has saved us tons of money. But Tello service in the US is even cheaper. But you can get Tello in whatever country you are at, and you can port your current US number into it. So while you're on the road, you don't have the problem of not being able to log into your, important accounts. By the way, if you're enjoying this video and you're planning to retire or slow travel overseas in the next few years, I would really appreciate if you hit like and subscribe to this channel. My goal with this channel is to help make retirement travel feel less overwhelming and more achievable for people, everyday people just like me. I'm not rich. I'm not retired. I am still looking to the days where I can retire and travel full time. And what this last year has given me is a taste of what is possible. And this is the exact kind of adventure if you're looking for. I would love for you to be part of this journey. Now, we've talked about staying connected and keeping your US phone number active, and Tello is the best app for that. But the day you need it, you will be incredibly thankful that you have already installed it, because you can stay in contact with your friends and family and banks and all of that. Tello does it. The third app is Google Authenticator. Now, I'll admit, this one isn't exciting. It's not fun. It's not going to help you find the cheapest hotel or book a flight, but it might save you from getting locked out of your account. And actually, personally, before traveling overseas, I honestly didn't pay much attention to the two-step authentication. And even using Tello, sometimes some certain banks, I was unable to, log in with the two-step authentication even. So that means we're somewhere without cell service. You still can't log in, like Gmail, financial accounts, password managers, or other important websites. The biggest piece of advice is this: set it up before you leave the United States. Don't wait until you're sitting in another country trying to recover access to your account. That's a level of stress nobody wants while traveling, and it just takes only a few minutes to set it up. So let's talk about Surfshark VPN. Whenever you travel, you're constantly going to be connecting to public Wi-Fi, hotel Wi-Fi, coffee shops, airports, restaurants, malls. And the problem is you'll have actually absolutely no idea who is connected to that network. A VPN encrypts your internet traffic, and think of it like you're putting your online activity inside a secure tunnel. It gives me peace of mind whenever I'm checking my bank account, logging into my email, booking hotels, or simply browsing online. But there's another reason I use it. Sometimes certain websites and streaming services behave differently depending on what country you're in. A VPN gives you more flexibility. Now, I'm not saying everyone absolutely needs it, but for me, considering how much personal information we have online while traveling, I think it's a worthwhile spending. Again, I'll leave my referral link below if you would like to check it out. Now we've covered 4 apps, but the last 2 probably saved us the most money during our entire trip, especially number 6. There's a hack to save even more money. I'll show you how to do that. I honestly can't imagine traveling through Southeast Asia without it. If you watched my channel for a while, you've probably heard me mention TravelSpend, and I absolutely love this app. Before we left, I wanted to know exactly what our travel was costing, not an estimate, not a guess, but the actual number. So we have data for future travels and future retirement numbers. So hotels, coffee, transportation, flights, massages, laundry, everything we spent on, it only took us a minute or two to enter whatever we spent that day. By the end of it, each month we total it up, and I share some of our monthly totals in different countries on this channel that you saw, is because we use TravelSpend to track every dollar we spent. So if you're planning to retire overseas, this app will help answer some of the biggest questions you might have. How much does this lifestyle cost? Instead of relying on somebody else's number, you'll have your own number if you track it. And that's incredibly valuable. You don't need Excel sheets or spreadsheets for this. This makes it super easy to use. So honestly, I can't say nice things about this app. And this is the easiest budgeting app that I've actually found to be useful for us. And it happened to be a travel app created by other travelers, so which is perfect. Bonus, and you probably are surprised why I haven't mentioned this before, and I saved my favorite for the last, and this is Grab. If you're traveling anywhere in Southeast Asia, you absolutely need Grab to get a ride, to call food delivery, to get around, to get groceries delivered. Anything and everything delivery transportation-wise, you will need Grab. And it's worked perfect in Vietnam and Thailand. In fact, we have been using Grab from day one since we landed. And we have always chosen Grab over taxis or other form of transportation. Now, there were very few places in Southeast Asia where Grab didn't work. One was Halong Bay, where you had to call the local taxi company because they just didn't have Grab service there. But the rest of Southeast Asia, we had no problem with Grab, and this is probably one of the easiest convenience app that you could use. We had groceries delivered, we had food delivered on a daily basis. We have taken rides on Grab to get it around, and it is very affordable compared to Uber and Lyft in the US. It is not even a fair comparison. The Grab rides and Grab deliveries are so cheap in Southeast Asia that it makes no sense not to use it. And everybody uses it. So I actually found that when you're in Southeast Asia, they would have these local memberships. So like Thailand, monthly, 6 months. subscription for Grab, or Vietnam 1 month subscription, or 3 month subscription in Malaysia, things like that. You sign up for those local monthly subscriptions. What they do is they give you even more discount. They would take off the delivery fee. They would, take off service fee and make your delivery even cheaper, or grab rights even cheaper. So while we were in Southeast Asia, we definitely use Grab a ton, and we've used the advantage of signing up for these local subscriptions, and we canceled the subscription when we moved on to our next country. So that is another hack that a lot of people don't know about, but you can save anywhere from 20, 30% of your service fees, food delivery fees, and taxes and things like that if you are signed up for their local monthly subscription. If you're going to spend a few months in that country, why not? One thing that I've learned over the past few years, travel becomes even more enjoyable when the small inconveniences disappear or minimize. That's really what these apps do. And they don't make your travel more luxurious. They make it more convenient, more enjoyable, less stress, less hassle. So if you're retiring overseas, every one of these apps has earned a place on your phone. I honestly use all of them, and I wouldn't recommend anything that I don't personally trust and use. If you found this video helpful, I would really appreciate it if you hit the like button and subscribe button. It helps YouTube. Share this video with more people who are dreaming about retirement and slow travel. And if you're not already subscribed, I would love to have you join us. Every week, I'm sharing practical advice, real travel costs, hotel reviews, and retirement planning ideas and lessons we've learned while exploring Southeast Asia on a budget. And if you're wondering whether retiring overseas is actually possible, I think you'll really enjoy this video right here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.